And now for the final one is, in order to maintain spiritual fitness, you must rest and wait upon the Lord. You must learn to be still. And just like any workout, our bodies are designed for rest. We have to rest. God called the Shabbat, or the Sabbath, as a resting day, a day holy to him. He created the heavens and the earth and all that we know on this planet right now. And he rested when he was finished. And he set it up for man to have a day of rest. And just the same, when we are going through things spiritually, and in order to build a strong spirit, we need to learn to rest and wait upon God. We need to learn to be still before him. On purpose. Resting is actually the point where we allow God to do what God's going to do in our lives. It's a place where we've believed the word, we've put it into practice, and it's down into our hearts, and now we can enter into his rest. Hebrews 4, go home and study that. It talks about a people who failed to enter into his rest. He had a good plan for them. He designed and purposed for them to fulfill it, and they would not enter into his rest. They would not meditate on his word. They would not get it down into their heart. Instead, they doubted, they feared, and they didn't enter in. They didn't receive what God had planned for them. And Paul says, man, we need to look into this so that we don't fail to enter into his rest and begin to receive the things he has for us. Psalms 27, 14 through 13. This is King David's Psalms. He says, What would have become of me had I not believed that I would see the Lord's goodness in the land of the living? Wait and hope for and expect the Lord. Be brave and of good courage, and let your heart be stout and enduring. Yes, wait for and hope for and expect the Lord. Resting and waiting is a place of trust. It's saying, I know, I don't just casually believe, but I know that the Lord God will deliver me. It's a place of assurance. It's a place of hope. David said, what would have become of me if I had not believed that I would see the Lord's goodness in the land of the living? What would have become of me? David's life was not all peaches and cherries. You know, shepherd boy turned king. We just see those big moments. Killed a giant, a lion, and a bear. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened in between David's life. His brothers turned on him. The king turned on him and sought his life. He spent 10 years in the wilderness, alienated from his village, his tribe, his family, hiding from the very thing that God had already told him that he would be. When he becomes king, his wife turns on him. He loses a son because of sin. Another son rapes one of his daughters, and then yet another son goes out and sets up an army to stand against him. Tell me, David didn't have it all easy. David had a life that's pretty similar to ours, maybe a little more intense. But a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things that he went through. Life wasn't just laid out for David. He said, what would have become of me if I had not believed that I would see the Lord's goodness when I was out in the wilderness? What would have become of me if I had not believed that I would see the Lord's goodness when the king's throwing javelins at me, trying to kill me? What would have become of me if I had not believed that I would see the Lord's goodness when Absalom turned on me and turned people against me, a son of my heart? What would have become of me if I had not believed I'd see the Lord's goodness when my baby died because of my own sins? What would have become of me if I had not believed I would see the Lord's goodness? Would maybe I die of a terminal illness? What would have become of me if I had not seen the Lord's goodness? Maybe I'd be divorced and alone. What would have become of me had I not seen? See, we need to make this for us. We need to make this real to our situations. What would have become of me if I not believed that I'd see the deliverance of my children off of drugs and alcohol? What would have become of me if I had not believed I'd see the Lord's goodness in the land of the living? Not in the sweet by and by, but in the right now. David is singing his psalms to us. He's saying, what would have become of me if I had not believed I would see the Lord's goodness? Man, you read David's story. You read his story. It'll encourage your heart. He didn't have it all easy. But God got him through every time. God delivered him every time. God encouraged him every time. And David says in verse 14, he says, he gives us the key. He says, wait for, hope for, and expect the Lord. Be brave and of good courage. Obviously, you're going to have to be brave. There's going to be a reason. The devil's going to try to freak you out. He's going to try to scare you. He's going to try to make you feel like it ain't coming. It isn't happening. Not for you. Not no way. Not no how. But David said, be strong. Be brave and of good courage while you're going through it. He said, and let your heart be stout and enduring. Let your spirit be strong. And wait for, hope for, and expect the Lord. Man, he says that twice.